Welcome to the Scott Howard Genuine ScLoHo Media and Marketing Podcast. This is an ongoing collection of media, marketing, and personal insights, and this is episode number 412, as heard on the radio. There's a rough transcription of this podcast online at my website, scotthoward.me. If you'd like to go back and read or check out the links I mentioned, you'll find them there, scotthoward.me. As we're winding down 2025 and moving into the year 2026, I see a trend that I need to clarify. That's the relevancy of traditional AM/FM radio. Just last month, I was talking with some of my advertising partners, and there was a common theme that kept coming up. As we discussed how their ad campaigns are working on my primary radio station, WOWO, I heard a ton of positive comments. From one business owner, "We're on radio station A and radio station B, and this year was our first year on WOWO, and that's all I hear about. Our service people are required to ask our customers where they heard about us, and WOWO keeps coming up week after week. It's our number one lead source." First off, I appreciate that they are diligent in tracking this because, quite honestly, most businesses, they don't ask. At another business, I heard, "We're closing 5 more sales each month compared to last year." That's all they knew for sure because they don't ask their customers. Honestly, this is typical for most businesses. They don't ask, and so they don't know for sure where their new customers are coming from. In most cases, we have to examine what has changed and what they've been doing to invite more people to do business with them. Then deduct that the radio ad campaign is working on WOWO since we were part of that change. Then there's the raving fan type of business person who told us, "All my new leads are coming from WOWO. This is the best thing ever." In this case, it's the sales manager who said this to me, and he's the one who runs all the appointments, and he asks. This trend of business advertising with me on WOWO and getting results is not new. In my 12 plus years at WOWO Radio, I can say that WOWO has been the most successful of all the radio stations that I've worked for since 2003, which is when I started in the world of advertising in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Other stations I worked for were music stations, and WOWO has been the one talk station. 2025 was the 100th birthday of WOWO Radio, and it's also the one station that has been consistently growing for the past 2 decades in terms of total number of listeners each week and the length of time those listeners listen to WOWO each day. A few years ago, our parent company, Federated Media, took part in a nationwide survey of stations that asked listeners how they listened. See, WOWO is both the legal name for the radio station at 1190 AM, but it's also a brand that you can also hear at 92.3 FM, 107.5 FM, and 97.3 HD2 FM. Those are all the places you can hear WOWO's news talk programming on a traditional radio, like what most of us have in our cars, and some of us still have in our homes and offices. However, you can also listen to WOWO Radio on the stream. What's the stream, you say? Well, it's anything other than a traditional radio. You can listen to WOWO on your laptop or your tablet. You can listen on your phone through an app. You can do what my wife and I often do at home and listen to WOWO on a smart speaker like Alexa or Google Home. All of these are ways to listen to WOWO on the stream. Now, the study I mentioned a moment ago showed that more than 30% of WOWO listening is done via the stream, and I've watched that number grow over the years from just a few percent to about a third. Now, last month, I was reading the results of a study that shows that nationwide, the percent listening to streaming is much smaller than WOWO's listening data. Here's a quote from the study. "For all that has changed in the media landscape during the past decade, there remains at least one constant. The traditional receiver retains the largest portion of AM/FM listening, even with new options like smart speakers and mobile devices to dial in a local radio station. The latest share of ear data from Edison Research finds that 87% of broadcast listening time is on a traditional speaker among Americans ages 13 and older, Well, that is down 6 points from a decade ago. The resilience of easy-to-use combination of AM/FM radio and a speaker that doesn't require much more than an on button remains strong. The radio receiver remains the dominant device, Edison says in a blog post. Broadcast radio companies have made efforts to embrace digital platforms and technologies, but the traditional radio receiver continues to dramatically outperform all other devices for radio listening. Edison says a large portion of time spent with AM/FM radio comes in the car, and that in that environment, it's almost entirely all of the listening is being done on a traditional receiver. It also points out that during the past decade, mobile devices and smart speakers have been chipping away at radio receivers' share, but both remain distant also-rans. Okay, so here's the reality. Most people I talk to don't know the answer to how they listen. They just know they're listening to ScLoHo and hearing the news and talk shows that they enjoy. When I'm working with the local advertisers, I almost always make sure that all of our listeners from all sources are exposed to their advertisements. That includes streaming ads along with traditional radio ads in their campaign. Because I want you and your business to be successful, whether you ask your new customers or not how they heard about you, and even if your customers don't know anything more than they heard about you on the radio, that's what will be doing for you, both the stream and traditional. Now, do you want help with all this? Contact me. Questions, answers, thoughts of nearly any kind are always welcome. You can find me online at my website, scotthoward.me, and on social media. Just Google ScLoHo. That's spelled ScLoHo, and you'll probably find more of me. You can drop me a note via email too. It's scott@wowo.com. That's scott@wowo.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.